Hi, everybody. Ren Carothers here on a 2-year-old Tuesday, bringing you your future stars forecast. We have some exciting win and you're in action to talk about. But before we get to that, I do want to give a moment to show some respect because, of course, we lost one of the founding fathers of the Breeders' Cup, talking about Brereton Jones of Airdrie Stud. Of course, he was very influential politically, having been governor of the great state of Kentucky here. Our hearts go out to all of his loved ones and everybody whose hearts he touched. I'm going to end the show with actually a Breeders' Cup moment featuring a filly whom he bred. But that being said, I just got back from the Keeneland sale, and I had to catch up with a good friend, Cherie DeVaux, because of course, as you should know by now, she did win the Grade 1 Natalma. That is a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, and it's actually her first Grade 1 win. I did not want a chance being at the sales ground, and my Wi-Fi not working, so I went ahead and I recorded our conversation. Unfortunately, my microphones were not working, but you can hear her just fine. And that's the most important thing. So here's Cherie DeVaux discussing She Feels Pretty, winner of the Grade 1 Natalma Stakes. Going to go ahead and present that to you right now. Here's Cherie DeVaux in her office at Keeneland. And the last time I talked to you, you had She Feels Pretty entered in the PG Johnson at Saratoga. And you were telling me about how if it came off the turf that you might, change course, regroup, and you regrouped and you won the Grade 1 Natalma.
It's funny how that works out.
Isn't it? I mean, I just think it's so wonderful. This is your first Grade 1 and you're still a relatively new stable.
Right. No, it was, it really wasn't something that we would have circled on a calendar once she broke her maiden, just because the timing was pretty significantly farther away from her maiden race. So it was just one of those things where it just all worked out.
Well, I mean, this is gotta be one of those pinch me moments, because when you do change course, you trainers always have the best laid plans, right?
Right.
But to change course and not only to win the race that you went for in favor, when things had to basically necessitate that plan B, but you win it, and it's a Grade 1 race that is also a win, and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf.
Well, and it's hard when a young horse like her jumps up and wins first time out, and it really, we were just trying to get a race into her, because at that point there weren't a lot of options for two-turn 2-year-old fillies on the turf or any surface. So you try to manage your expectations appropriately in line with each horse and what you're what they had done. And she was quite impressive when you look back at it, because she was so far back and had a really quick turn of foot, a prolonged sustained bid, and then she had trained really awesome out of that. She's a really good workhorse. She always had been since she arrived to us. And it's hard because a lot of us really want to think that every horse is going to be a champion and go on and do things, but the reality is that a lot of them don't take a huge step forward. But she did, and it's not,
I would say so.
It's not that it was surprising, because she had trained so well, and she's just a really mature filly. But it was
just her second career start.
It was just her second career start, and it was now a longer layoff on paper, because just the dynamics of it. So I was trying to manage my own expectations of, I hope she handles the stretch out, a ship, just everything that was thrown at her, and the race was very competitive.
Oh yeah.
So we even had the discussion between the Jacksons and Doug Cauthen. If she were just competitive, we were going to be happy, because this race came up really tough on paper. So we would have been happy if she just hit the board, and for her to run the way that she did, we were just over the moon with her.
Competitive, large field.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say, you were talking about the stretch out. The debut was 5.5.
Right.
So here at Woodbine, you were going the 1-turn mile.
Right.
So what are your expectations going forward with her?
I really just hope that she continues the trend that she is shown in her 2 races. She has to, again, it's going to be a big step forward and a big ship. And she's pretty, she has really good mental fortitude for everything. She just takes everything in stride. So we're just hoping she continues on the trajectory that she's put herself in.
Well, I love the pedigree. Obviously, she's got the Breeders' Cup ped cred, as I like to say, because she's by Carson. He won the Breeders' Cup
Yeah.
mile. Female family's really nice too.
Yeah.
A lot of stakes winners in there. You've got multiple Group 1 winner, Act 1 in the mix. So again, a beautiful pedigree, and she's just a really exciting filly. Also, you look at the times, and she went slightly faster than the boys did in the summer.
Yeah. So like I said, she just is putting herself on a upward trajectory, and we really just have to hope that she continues to do that, and we just train her to stay into that path.
And we gotta talk about another horse. You have the barn. We're gonna go get some footage of him in a minute. But talking about Depiction, because this is another horse who looks poised to hopefully seize a ticket there to the Breeders' Cup
Right.
Future Stars Friday card. He won in his second start, and he was one of those horses you knew that if he got his trip, if he could make his trip,
Right.
he was gonna win next out, because that debut, he ran so well despite so much trouble.
Well, and he was one where, I talk about managing expectations, and I was actually kind of disappointed in how he ran, just because he was so forward in the mornings. He was breezing with the Process, who won the next race, going 6 furlongs on the dirt, and they've been breezing heads up for most of their time before they had run. And he got a tough post, and that's where the greenish showed. But he came up. His second race definitely was more of what we were expecting from him, and he's another one who's been mentally there since he's come in. He's been really forward. He's breezed really well. He's handled everything in stride. Physically, he's not like she feels pretty. He's got a lot of growing and improving to do, but we'll just hope to see again if he can get the trip and take another step forward in the Bourbon.
And I also love the connection, because I believe She Feels Pretty is out of More Than Ready mare.
Right.
He is by More Than Ready, and
Right.
I always like to bring this up because More Than Ready for a long time, he held the record himself for his progeny amassing the most wins in the Breeders' Cup at 7. He is now joined by Tappet and by Into Mischief.
Right.
But the standard is 7 right now for More Than Ready's progeny, and again, he's a son of him, and then he's out of a half-sister to multiple Group 1 winner, multi-millionaire Hawkbill.
Yeah.
Won the Coral Eclipse, won the Dubai Shima Classic.
Right.
What a pedigree. You guys got him for a steal.
We did get him for a steal, and quite surprised that we did.
Yeah.
But when you look at him physically, it kind of makes sense, because he isn't the most imposing horse. And if he were a filly, it would probably, with the residual value,
Right,
that's
right.
where that comes into play.
Of course.
He would have not gone for that cheap, I don't think. Or that value, it's 80,000, still a lot of money.
Right,
but
yes.
the value that we got on him was tremendous.
And I know we had discussed him before and what the possible options were. You were either going to look at the Pilgrim, which is at Aqueduct, I believe, on October 1st, or the Bourbon right here at Keeneland on October 8th. Has that been decided yet?
We've discussed, David and I, and the partnership, the managing partners. We're inclined to stay with the Bourbon. We just nominated their due on Wednesday, and I just want to see what it looks like. Sorry.
That's all good.
Just see what the field looks like, because I don't want to be excluded. But the one thing with him, as I've touched on, he has a lot of growing to do, and he's slight in his condition. So I don't think that the best thing for him is to ship from Kentucky to New York, New York back to Kentucky, and then over to Santa Anita. It's a lot of shipping for him. And he seems to do well with routine, and he'd run out of his own stall here. So those are the factors that we all have to think about. So, I'm inclined to roll the dice and hope we get into the Bourbon. But if it looks like there's going to be, 30 horses in, and we're going to be way on the outside, then, we might have to revisit that plan.
Well, I think he's a tremendous talent. That's of the 2-year-old races I've watched, his is one of my favorites, just because the way he did it was so easy, and he did it. I say this a lot when I notice it with horses, but he looks like he's happy doing his job.
Oh yeah, no, he's always been a feeling good horse. He likes to train. You'll see in his stall that he's be bopping around in there. He's got a lot of energy, so does it make sense?
It does. Oh, and you know what? I'm sorry. I got to go back to She Feels Pretty because you did tell me, and I want you to tell our viewers, where did you watch the race? Because we saw your sister Adrienne there at Woodbine. Where were you?
So I actually that day we've been busy with the sale, and so it's hard to get away, and I've been traveling a lot. So when this really wasn't on our radar as a plan A, so I opted. Adrienne's had her and worked with her all summer since she broke her maiden and shipped to Saratoga. So I just opted to send her up there, and I was at Churchill with a couple of runners in the far turn. And it's kind of like this vast space.
Right.
And I was sitting right in the front and at a table all by myself, watching on my iPad with my earbuds in. I try to give myself the pep talk of nobody's going to understand if you start going crazy why you're going crazy because they have no idea what's going on. And I tried to say maintain your composure, but that went out the window at about the 16th hole when she was pulling clear. She ranged up and pulled clear. But you know, it's such a significant part of any trainer's journey to win any stakes race, much less a graded stake race, much less a grade one. So,
did your phone just explode?
Well, I was on a delay, so it was like the text messages were coming in a little bit before we hit the wire.
Oh.
So, yeah, no, it was great. It was the amount of support that other trainers and owners and friends and family have given is just enormous.
Did you get to celebrate?
No, because I've been under the weather. So
oh no! Okay, well you're gonna. Hey, you gotta party it up at this point.
Well, at some point I will. I drove to Ellis and back that day from Churchill, and because I stayed overnight. It's the trainer's life. I think from the outside looking in might seem more glamorous.
No days off.
No days off. So hopefully after the sales are over and David gets some energy, and I'm starting to feel better. Today's the first day, so hopefully we'll get to celebrate maybe towards the end of the week.
Well, I love it, and I'm gonna have to hunt Mr. David Ingordo down because you won the Natalma with She Feels Pretty. He, as part of West Point Thoroughbreds, took the summer stakes with Carson's run. So we'll see if we can find David Ingordo now.
Well, and he also picked this filly out.
Oh, and he picked this filly.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Look at that.
And last year was the first.
I know you pick out some of the Belladonna horses yourself too.
Right, Belladonna. We worked together. This filly, David goes out and scouts on the farm a lot before the sales, and he had found her out. And
yeah, She Feels Pretty with Leo.
Leo, yes. So last year David and I joined the team with Doug Cauthen and the Jacksons, and he had seen her out in the farm, but she was a book 4 horse, and he knew she was probably going to cost more than a budget for a Belladonna at this point in the sale for that group, and he'd spoken with Doug and the Jacksons and told him that this filly looked pretty special early on, so he actually had a part in the double.
Gosh, look at that.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I love it. All right. Well, I'm just thrilled for you, and I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out also to Hall of Fame jockey Johnny Velasquez.
Yeah.
Or Velasquez. I want to say with a little bit more flourish.
Yeah.
I mean, how great.
It is, and it's funny because Johnny and I have been close since I worked for Chad, and you just create these friendships with their families and each jockey, and I've seen like the Ortiz brothers come up from their bug boys up into really great journeymen. But Johnny and I have been friends for quite some time, and it's been special because he's been aboard More Than Looks for the Grade 3 Manila, Vava for the Oaks.
And you got her half sister at the sale.
We did get her half sister, and then for him to get the Grade 1 victory for me was quite special.
Well, this has been special for me. I'm so thrilled for you.
Thank
Congratulations, Cherie DeVaux, Grade 1 winning trainer. And we're going to be looking at She Looks Pretty.
She feels pretty.
Oh, she feels pretty. She looks pretty too.
She does look pretty.
Yes. We're going to be looking forward to her and are you going to just train up to the Breeders Cup at this point?
Yeah, there's really limited options. If we'd have to wheel her back, and she ran so well off a layoff that it doesn't deter me from thinking that she needs to do much more than just train into the Breeders' Cup, and she takes care of herself when she's galloping. She puts a lot in her breezes. So
that's great.
Really just she's kind of a treat to train.
Well, I'm excited to see what she's going to do. She feels pretty, and I know you got to be feeling good. Cherie DeVaux.
So there you go. That was my little sit down with Cherie. I wish the mics were up, but you heard her, I think, perfectly anyway, right, everybody? Okay, so we talked about the horses. Let's look at some of these horses. So we mentioned Depiction, and I'm going to go, of course, and show you the Natalma, so don't worry about that. But I want to show you Depiction, and this is just him chilling in his stall. Let's see here. There he is. This was this morning. He's just chilling. He's got his little Zorro mask on. Relaxing. And I want to show you the race I was talking about, his recent win, how easily he did it. You've seen it on this show before. Again, it's one of my favorite 2-year-old races I've seen thus far. It's not even about figures or anything. It's just about the way in which he did it. This is a horse who is supremely bred by More Than Ready, as you heard us discuss, and that his mom being a half sister to multiple Group 1 winner, multi-millionaire Hawk Bill. Just a really well, again, bred horse here. So we'll go ahead and I'll remove this, and I'm going to instead now show you the race, which was his second career start at Ellis Park, in which he won, and that was race 4 back on August 27th. So let's go ahead and watch that.
Sent the chestnut to the outside, the black blinkers. Completes the load. They're at the post. And they are racing. Quiet Rush had an alert start. Viva Voce is flashing speed. Sneed, Coastal Brink. Also there is Kitty Hawk, who spun out in about the 5-path onto the run to the first turn. Where the leader, Quiet Rush, just narrowly shows the way. Depiction will apply the heat to the outside, and covering him up, Kitty Hawk on the stretch out, these three across the course. Coastal Brink in the pink silks takes off that speed, backs off into 4th. Viva Voce glued to the fence there from 5th as they straighten up for the backstretch journey. As they turn up the backside, racing about 9 or 10 lengths off the lead is Sneed. Play It Loud is towards his inside, still 5 back to 1 Red Cent, and at the back of the pack, Kobe B, as they run up the backside, 4.5 furlongs to go. The quarter, they have some pace to chase, 23-3. Kitty Hawk with the lead. Quiet Rush second. Depiction. Christian Torres just biding his time. He's in the clear and now races up into second, well in hand on the run the far turn. Coastal Brink is 4th with about 3.5 to make up, then a length to Viva Voce. Sneed starts to unwind in the lime green silks just out to the 5/16 of a mile to go. Here comes Depiction after Kitty Hawk. Kitty Hawk to the inside, Depiction to the outside. Coastal Brink still gaining on the leaders to the top of the home stretch. But Depiction, the son of More Than Ready, comes off the turn, roaring up by 2.5 lengths. Kitty Hawk back into second. Up the inside from the backfield, the big long shot 1 Red City's in traffic trouble though. And then Coastal Brink with 1/16 to go. Depiction, a clean trip today. And Depiction strutting his stuff. Depiction, the son of More Than Ready, punched home a dominant winner. Depiction for the Cherie barn wins by almost a half a dozen. Coastal Brink was second. Then it was either Sneed, Viva Voce, 1 Red Cent, and late on the scene, Play It Loud, 137. And
seriously, look how happy and proud of himself he looked there, right? Okay, so that was Depiction. And again, we're likely to see Depiction in the Bourbon Stakes coming up here during the Keeneland meet. Now, again, of course, the horse we were mainly talking about there was her filly, She Feels Pretty, who won the Grade 1 Natalma. That is a win and you're in. That ticket is punched for the Breeders Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf on November 3rd at Santa Anita. That is Future Stars Friday. So let's go ahead and watch this win. To repeat myself, this is Cherie's first Grade 1, just sensational. So let's go ahead and watch that. Let's see here, making sure I've got the correct, let's see, it wants me to stop this screen first. Sorry about that. Talking and presenting at the same time, right? So let's go ahead. We're going to share the screen. Here is the 2023 Natalma Stakes at Woodbine featuring She Feels Pretty.
On their way and bobbling the break towards the back was Brock Nadini, and last away was Dazzling Star. A great start, Golden Canary, flew out in front, and coming through as Miss Tart simply in front, showing up with She's Fire and Ready to Jam, and on the outside Rhapsody towards the pace. And about mid-pack is Dancing Duchess over on the inside as they settle. In behind them came She Feels Pretty, And now coming through is Brock Nadini in between horses early on. And towards the back is Zara, and about 2.5 away last is Bolt Enery, and Dame Matrona's got back to third last, but now out in front by a length and a half, kicking clear over on the inside. Golden Canary from Rhapsody simply in front, and moving through is Zara going up in the center, and racing on the outside, ready to jam from Mistar. Dame Matrona started to get around the outside of Dancing Duchess, who got a check there behind Dazzling Star, and trying to get involved as they come down the side of the track. Bolt Enery's at the back, and out in front by about 3 parts of a length is still Golden Canary from Rhapsody, a length and a half away simply in front of Zara, and coming into fourth spot, and out wider as She Feels Pretty running on with Ready to Jam. A length and a half behind them came on the inside Dazzling Star running on from She's Fire, and as they come down the lane, Brock Nadini and Dame Matrona behind them, but out in front Golden Canary simply in front, challenging Zara, coming with now flying She Feels Pretty. She Feels Pretty on the outside's gone right on by, takes over from Simply in front, and She Feels Pretty in the lead, Simply in front in second, and then came Zara Golden Canary, but She Feels Pretty careering away in the Johnny Walker Natalma Stakes. She feels more than pretty. She feels fantastic, and she wins by 3.5 lengths to simply in front Dazzling Star, Zara Golden Canary, and out wider Dancing Duchess in the time of 1:35.34.
And that was slightly faster than the boys. We're going to watch that after I just give you the rundown again. Trained by Cherie DeVaux, owned by Lael Stables, ridden by Hall of Famer Johnny V. That was her second career start. She had originally won, obviously first out, going 5.5 furlongs at Ellis Park, and then they were going to run her, as we discussed, in the PG Johnson. That didn't go well because of the weather, so they had to regroup, and they regrouped pretty well in taking that Grade 1 Natalma Stakes. Very exciting. But now let's go ahead and we're going to watch Carson's Run. Carson's Run, really a cool horse. You're going to hear us discuss him more in the segment I filmed with David Ingordo. But just real quickly, he won his debut, then he was second, put in a really good performance there in the With Anticipation, and then he strikes here in the Grade 1 Summer to punch his ticket to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. And real quick, Peachy Patty Joe, I love this comment. Yeah, she feels pretty. I was going to say she feels fast, right? Right. So let's go ahead and we're going to watch the Summer Stakes featuring Carson's Run.
Locked up on their way in the Bet 365 Summer Stakes, and a good beginning. Western World rushed out in front. King of the track taken back after beginning in front, but My Boy Prince and Joel Rosario saunter into the lead. My Boy Prince in front of Western World. A pack of them descend. Going forward is 3 wide Busick. A length there, Rosa. On the inside, Super Attentive. Go with Gusto, drop right back to the tail there. And in the center is Tunchi back 4th last with King of the Track. And next to last position now, Go with Gusto. And over on the inside, it's Carson's Run at the back. About 6 lengths covers the field, and My Boy Prince in front and shows the way by over a length to Western World. Tucking in nicely, a Rosa on the inside. A half away came on the outer Busick. A length and a half away, Tunchi. King of the Tracks improving around the outside from Super Attentive. And back second last, Go with Gusto. On the inside last is Carson's Run, showing the way every step of the way so far. My Boy Prince with Western World in second. Up on the outside is Busick as they go down inside the 3.5. Erosa a length away on the inside. Coming forward nicely is Tunchi, and losing a touch of ground there was Erosa. King of the Track is off the track, making ground. Behind them, Super Attentive. Go with Gusto, starting to run, and at the back, Carson's Run to the extreme outside. And Joel Rosario trying to go for broke now. My Boy Prince in the Summer Stakes from Western World. Here's Carson's Run. What a slingshot run down the outside by Dylan Davis. Carson's Run storming out wide. They're wide apart. Carson's Run and My Boy Prince flat up against the inside, and they are well clear. Go with Gusto running on, but down extremely wide on the track. Carson's Run and powering on for a fantastic win. Dylan Davis and Carson's Run by about 2 or 3 lengths. My Boy Prince has run second. Go with Gusto third, Tunchi 4th, and then Super Attentive. 1:35.70.
I did it. Actually, my whole mic was muted just then. Let me replay. Let me say what I just said. Sorry, I didn't realize I had myself still on mute. So you saw Carson's run there. Tremendous performance, right? He goes 10 wide in a stretch with Dylan Davis. To give you the lowdown about the connections, again, West Point Thoroughbreds as well as Stephen Boucher. And you had just this a horse with a name that really grabs at your heart. We're going to discuss this a bit here. You'll hear me and David Ingordo speaking about his namesake. So let's go ahead. I caught up with David there at the sales ground at Keeneland, and I'm going to go ahead and present that, and you can hear the rest of the story from him. I did it. I did it.
Good job. Well done.
I found David Ingordo. So I went from the backside at Keeneland to the pavilion side patio here, and I managed to get one of the best eyes in the business to chat about the fact that, and I didn't even realize this till I talked to Cherie. So not only are you involved with West Point, with Carson's run, who won the Summer Stakes, the Grade 1 Summer Stakes, winning your in for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, but you also picked out the Natalma winner. She Feels Pretty. Amazing.
I did, yeah.
That's like an incredible double. I mean, were you pinching yourself?
You know what? I had to go buy another horse, so I just, obviously it's a great achievement,
Yeah.
And it's very exciting for all the connections because West Point has become a major part of our lives.
Yeah.
Both mine and they have a lot of horses for Cherie, and I love those people. We've done great with them. I think since we met and started working together with West Point, it's been good for everybody, especially in the Grade 1 column.
Yes.
So, and then obviously for Cherie, it's a milestone win. I love sports analogies. So, she started a football team in the SEC with all high schoolers. And in, 5 years, she's up to getting wins like this. I think that's her 4th graded stakes win with different horses, which is always impressive to me. And to get a Grade 1 with a 2-year-old, and it's one that came from the program, so yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, Lael Stables with She Feels Pretty. And the fact also, again, that's a winning yard for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. So ticket punch there. We got to see Depiction earlier. I know Depiction's another horse with Belladonna.
Yep.
And he looks, phenomenal. He was resting in his stall. But I know it's either the Pilgrim was on the table, but it sounds like it's going to be the Bourbon.
Yeah, I think we're going to roll the dice and hope we can get in the Bourbon. He's won a race. Some of these horses that win like Kentucky Downs, those places when they prefer horses with prize money, it might hurt us. But the best thing for the horse is to run here, and if he gets in, it'll be really tough, and maybe we can have 2 going.
I would love to see that. Now let's talk about Carson's run again. Part of the this is a West Point horse, and the name behind the horse is so special. Carson, named for Carson Yost, who's the son of one of Terry Finley's good friends from West Point.
Yes. Yeah, when you name a horse after someone in general, you're taking a huge risk because we all know 80% of them probably don't pan out. But for this, you have to think the horse had a little angel on his shoulder with all the significance of that. And so it's great. And let's hope it works out and we keep it rolling for Carson's sake.
I love that. And that was a colt he won on debut. Then he put in a really game second place performance in the With Anticipation. Maybe he just kind of deferred to the filly that day.
I don't think so. I think this horse, you watch his first race, he was a little green down a stretch, still a little green the second start. I think if he had his running shoes on like he did.
Going 10 wide, right?
Yeah, he would have been. We probably would have won that race and maybe weren't going in this spot. So everything happens for a reason. And horses require racing. People forget that. So I think Christoph did a good job using this race as a prep for the Breeders' Cup. We got more experience. Horse ran super, obviously. And although She Feels Pretty did run a little faster.
A little bit, she did.
No, I just joke with Christoph on that stuff. But he's a very nice horse, and it's very exciting for everybody. And West Point was part of Depiction too.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And Dylan Davis, by the way, was aboard.
Top
Carson's run.
jockey. Really,
Yes.
That kid impresses me. I like what he's doing out there.
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you before I let you go. Talking about the sales, you guys have the yearling sales topper here at Keeneland at $3 million, an intermission colt out of Nona Mia. Nona Mia is the dam of Outwork, so this boy is now a half to Outwork. But also, she threw a mare named Nona Bella, and Nona Bella has a 2-year-old who just came out and
really just blew the doors off at first, asking for Rapoli Stables, talking about fierceness.
It was by Lane's End Stallion, City of Light.
That is correct.
Don't forget the plug, shameless promotion.
I waited for you to bring that up.
Yeah. No, that's a very exciting horse. I'm glad we don't have anything in the dirt division, so he can win that one. But,
$3 million, though. I mean, when that bid is going up and you're watching the tote keep flicking, what is that like?
It's how am I going to pay for it? How many phone calls are we going to have to make? And I hope Keeneland doesn't get mad at me. No, it was so we look around on the farms, and I think we went and looked at 80% of book one, the first 4 days of the sale.
Wow.
So we saw however many that is. And I went back to Bill and Allaire, who's our sales director and does a phenomenal job at Lane's End. Top person in general, one of the best women in the business with her eye and all the work that she does. Mike Ryan's daughter. I like to say that Mike is her father because I have a lot of time for Allaire. I think she's one of the best at what she does. But we were talking about it, and I said, we need to keep this horse in the sale because Mike was, I think, waffling a little bit because, he's out here buying them.
Right.
And I could safely say that it was as good a colt and as good a horse as I saw. And especially I thought he was the best in the mischief because he had scope and size, and in the mischief needs no introductions.
Of
but
course not,
with all the when you get to that level, they have to have every part. They have to have the physical. They have to have the pedigree. They have to vet clean. They have to have a presence. This horse had everything in spades, $3 million worth of spades. And, I'm looking forward to looking at them all winter trained.
Oh, I undoubtedly. And also I would say is part of the allure being a have to outwork, maybe a sire's pedigree at outwork being the sire of the undefeated filly Brightwork, the Grade 1 Spinaway winner.
We always look for things like that because the dream, when you're paying that much money, you're buying a race, you're buying into a plan.
Of course.
So it's the racehorse, then it's hopefully a stallion. And at some level, if he wins and is a Grade 3 winner, he could be a stallion somewhere. We're obviously shooting for the moon with him. Hope he's a Grade 1 horse. Hope he's at Saratoga next summer, and then in the Breeders' Cup next year. So that's what you're looking at. And when you pay those kind of numbers, we've been fortunate that it's worked out enough times for us to keep doing it.
Like with Flightline.
Well, and for the people that watch this, we're going out there and drafting these horses, and it's a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah.
That's the business plan of the people that we are working with. They know the risks. They know the rewards. Is it for me to do? No, it's not. You guys see where I play. It's a little lower because that's what I can afford. But for those that can afford it and that's what they want to do, we offer that opportunity. And there are others. There's a few groups competing like that. But it's a huge risk, but the payoff is huge. And, everybody knows it. They have their, big boy, girl pants on, and they're willing to take a shot. So.
Well, we're looking so forward to seeing where this ride takes us. Thank you so much, David, for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, there we go. I got you the scoop. I went hunting around Keeneland today, and I got both Cherie and David to give us the inside track on our Win and You're In winners from this weekend, talking again about our Natalma winner, She Feels Pretty, and, of course, our summer winner, Carson's Run. So exciting, right? Now, we also had some Dirt Dozen action that applies to the Future Stars Friday card, talking, of course, about the Pocahontas Stakes, as well as the Iroquois, which were run at Churchill Downs. Vivi's Dream actually, she just trounced the competition there in the Pocahontas. It's a Grade 3 race. She won it by 8 3/4 lengths. Now, the Dirt Dozen, you're like, oh, well, wait a minute. What's the Dirt Dozen? Well, here's how it rolls. Basically, the first 3 finishers of the Pocahontas, they get a bonus bankroll toward entry fees for, in this case, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And so it's on a sort of a staggered rate of $30,000 to first place, $15,000 to second, and then $7,500 to the third place finisher. So congratulations to the team behind Vivi's Dream. That's MJM Racing owners, breeder Mark Stansel, Kenny McPeak. He won the Pocahontas last year. So making it back to back there with the Pocahontas. And of course, you had BJ Hernandez aboard. Brian, congratulations on the win aboard Vivi's Dream. As for for the Iroquois, well, that was won by West Saratoga, and he won it by a length and 3/4. This is for Larry Demerit. Congratulations. Owner Harry Rucci, ridden by Rafael Bejarano, bred by Two Hearts Farm. Again, this was another one of those dirt dozen races with 30,000 to first for the bonus bankroll. 15 to second and 7,500 to third. So congratulations again to the connections of Vivi's Dream in the Pocahontas, West Saratoga in the Iroquois. As far as the actual win and you're in action, well, we have more coming up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to present the screen and you'll see what I am talking about. We've got the Challenge Series races overview. You can look at this yourself by heading over to breederscup.com. You do the drop down box and go to the Challenge Series and you'll see it. So here you see coming up next on September 29th, we have the Albasi Equiworld Dubai Rockville Stakes, a winning you're in for the Juvenile Fillies Turf there at Newmarket. And we're also going to have on September 30th at Newmarket, the Juddmonte Royal Lodge Stakes, a winning you're in for the Juvenile Turf. And next week, next Tuesday, I can tell you my very special guest is going to be Jess Stafford. I'm so excited. She's going to give us basically, you know, I like to say that I love the racing over there across the pond. Am I as on the bit when it comes to their racing as I am with domestic racing here in the States? No, of course not. So she's going to give us sort of a leg up so we can really figure out who we should be looking at as competitors coming over for the Breeders' Cup World Championships, Future Stars Friday, November 3rd. So again, really looking forward to that. Jess Stafford joining me next Tuesday for the Future Stars forecast. Again, I did open the show and I want to revisit talking about the loss of Brereton Jones. And I thought our CEO really put it best. And so I'm just going to read a portion of his statement from the press release from Breeders' Cup, because again, it really does encapsulate what I would want to say anyway. And it is this. Again, this is from our CEO, president of the Breeders' Cup, Drew Fleming. He says, Governor Jones's passion for thoroughbred racing and breeding was second to none. Not only did he position Breeders' Cup for long-term success as a founding member, but as governor of Kentucky, he tirelessly promoted the thoroughbred industry while simultaneously building a legacy that will live on through Airdrie Stud. We are forever grateful for his contributions to our sport and send our sincere condolences to his family and friends. And that we do. And I thought it would be fitting to end this show with a horse that he bred. I'm talking about Caressing. She won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies back in 2000. She also took the Eclipse Award for Champion 2-year-old filly. She was owned by Carl Pollard and ridden by Terry Thompson, trained by David Vance. But again, bred by Brereton Jones. So we're going to end the show with Caressing in the 2000 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.
We're backing up here.
And they're off. Bit of an awkward start there for Cindy's Hero and Cash Deal. Very bad start for Cash Deal indeed. It's Nasty Storm who's up and down the lead early with Notable Career and Thunderbirdie on the outside. So those three will vie for the lead. And the undefeated Raging Fever gets a good spot early. She's tucking in behind the front runners, running in fourth position. Caressing is now fifth. On the inside, Platinum Tiara sixth. Stormy Pick is seventh on the outside. After that hesitant beginning, it's Cash Deal eighth, and she swings into action on the far outside. Then Extra Heat and Out of Sync. 3 lengths back to She's a Devil Do. She has only one horse beaten at this point, the late running Cindy's Hero. The opening quarter went in 23 seconds flat, so they're moving right along here. And the leader is Thunderbirdie with 4.5 furlongs to go. The half in 46 1/5 seconds testing fractions. On the inside, Nasty Storm continues to run in second. Notable Career right there third. Raging Fever making her move now as they enter the far turn. She's moved up in the third on the outside. Nasty Storm back pedals to fourth. And then on the outside, Caressing is called on for her run. She's fifth, about 3 lengths to the lead. Platinum Tiara is still in with a chance here as they approach the top of the stretch. Then Out of Sync. She's a Devil Do beginning to get underway as the field turns for home. Cindy's Hero buried at the back of the pack. They're coming down to the mid-stretch marker. A notable career has fought her way to the lead. Raging Fever is there. She's a Devil Do is coming, and so is Caressing. And Platinum Tiara trying to come on through between horses. It is Caressing the leader as they come down to the finish. Caressing at 40-1. Here's Platinum Tiara. Here's the line. Caressing. Another huge long shot victory here. Platinum Tiara finishing second. She's a Devil Do as third. So it is a parade.